before we continue, let's improve something here, which is the way we're going to test all these functions we're going to create. In the previous video, we just executed them as if they were a small program, right? So we wrote find pacman here, we printed the outputs, but there's definitely a better way to do this. And this is called automated testing. The idea is very simple. We're going to just call our functions and we're going to check the results. So how do we do this? Let's create another file here. I'm going to call it pacmantests.py. Yeah. PyCharm is asking me if I want to add this to Git. I don't want to add this to Git. Maybe this doesn't appear in your PyCharm, so no worries, just cancel if it appears, okay? And I am going to import the unit test package that comes with Python and that helps me to write automated tests. So what do? I need to create a class. We're not using classes here, but for tests we have to. So, but no worries, this won't really change much. And we have to write this boilerplate stuff, so I called it pacman test. I have to put this unit test.test case here. But as soon as you have this skeleton, this will work fine, okay? And then what happens is, whatever function we write here is a small test. Yeah? You're gonna understand this better once I finish this. So let's write a test for the find pacman function. So you start with the word test, for example, and then you give a name so that you understand what this is about. So this test the find pacman. And what we're going to do is to test the function out. So I'm going to copy the map. Then I'm going to call the find pacman. You see it complains because this function find pacman is in a different file, so we can import it. So if I do a Control Enter, you know, PyCharm helps me to fix the problem, and the problem is I need to import. Right? You see it writes this line over here. So it imports the find pacman function from the pacman file. And we know that if we pass the map, this function returns an x and y. And here all I need to do is to then compare the output. So I know that in this map, I expect x to be 0, 1, 2, 3. And I expect y to be 5, right? You see, simple as that. We just call the function and we compare the results. Instead of printing as we did in the previous video, we will let the machine do the comparison, and we use this assert equal. So we are saying that x has to be equals to 3. So I'm going to run the test. You see it's green, it works. But let's suppose that you as a developer, you made a mistake. You know, you're typing really fast, the way I do here, and I made this mistake. You know, for some reason I put x instead of y. So now there's a bug in here, right? There's definitely a bug in here. If I run, you see, they fail now, right? And if I go to the test that fails, it says 5 is not 3, right? So in here, I was expecting 5, but y was 3, and then it fails. The test says, well, you told me y had to be 5. It's not 5. Go find the bug. Then, you know, whenever you see a failing test, you just go back to the implementation, you look for it, and you will soon realize where the bug is. You fix it, you run again, it works, right? Perfect. And given that it's really easy to write those tests, you can write many of them. I'm not going to talk about software testing here, but this is indeed an art, right? You want to test as much as possible. So let's just write one more test. So find pacman when pacman doesn't exist. So we know that if there is no pacman in the map, those two functions should return -1. That's what I do. So now I run it. It works, right? Green. Let's run all of them. We can run all of the tests together, right? Oops, it still didn't work. Let me run from here, from the class. Then you see it runs them all. Just 2 for now, but that's good enough. We will start to build this up. And notice that it runs really fast. So it took 3 milliseconds to run. That's really impressive. And very useful, as you're going to see in practice, because you know you're going to do a change in the program and you're going to run the tests to see if everything is still okay. Writing bugs is really, really common in the developer's life. And those tests will help us not to write so many of them, okay? Or at least to get them when we write them. So again, quick summary, we created this test class, which uses the unit tests package. We then just declare functions here. Each function is a test, and all I need to do is to call the function I want to test. We pass some input to the function, so for example, this map. The function returns something to us, in the case of the find pacman function, x and y. And then we just compare the results of x and y. Do they match what we expect? We know by looking at this map that x needs to be 3 and y needs to be 5. So that's what we do here. That's it. And then we just build more tests to different scenarios that we want to exercise. So now I just introduced you to a very important concept in real-life development, and all developers do this in practice. So I want you to start thinking about writing tests for everything you do. See you in the next video.